It was Friday night. The reservation book was full. The bar was rocking, and every seat in the house was full. It was the perfect restaurant night. I started walking towards the hostess stand, and as I was walking towards it, I realized I felt like I was in the middle of a James Bond movie. Yeah, that's where I was. But let me tell you something. I wasn't the secret agent that you're all thinking I was. I was in the middle of straight chaos and confusion. My hostess, who literally is the Zen master of all Zen masters, so calm at all times, is feverishly scrolling through the reservations on the iPad like her life depended on it. Well, guess what? She committed the ultimate sin in a restaurant. She flat sat the restaurant. I looked at her, took a deep breath, and I knew what I had to do. I sprinted straight to the kitchen just to put out what inevitably was going to happen, a full kitchen meltdown. On my way there, I locked eyes with one of my servers, and they looked at me with such fear in their eyes and shaking and saying, "Table 12, they're turning on me." I was like, "I can't help you, my friend. You're on your own." Then I realized that the server, who had just spilled an entire tray of drinks all over guests the night before, was waiting on the VIP table. Couldn't believe it. I hightailed it. I kicked open that kitchen door, and guess what I saw? Tickets all the way down to the ground. And on the line was my dishwasher plating like she was at a cooking competition. I didn't know what to do. I looked at my fry cook. He had fear in his eyes like I've never seen before. And where was my lead line cook? Completely missing. He was in the back cutting Brussels sprouts because somebody had checked the boxes on the prep sheet that they had finished, but no one could magically find them in the walk-in. So what did I do? Like any great leader, I stood there, I composed myself, I took a deep breath, I nodded, and I said, "Well, at least the fire alarm hasn't gone off." Right on cue. Yep, the sweet, ear-piercing sound of utter disaster. That was my face. I didn't know what to do. But when I look back on that, as the universe delivered that final punchline, I realized I wasn't experiencing something that just happens in restaurants. I was experiencing something that happens everywhere. This is an everywhere problem. It happens in boardrooms. It happens at startups. It probably even happens in your own home. We put the wrong people in the wrong roles, expecting them to excel, and they fail miserably, all while that fire is going on around them. Imagine this. If you put a data analyst in charge of your holiday party, and they're agonizing over balloon arches and if they're symmetric, and then you get this spreadsheet of your snack to guest ratio, and the creme de la resistance is when they bust out with a PowerPoint presentation as to why confetti should never be used. You can almost see them writing their own exit strategy. Or even better, that quiet accountant that sits in the corner, all of a sudden you put them in charge of a high energy brainstorming session. What were you thinking? Their soul is literally leaving their body. Okay, guys? And what do we do in these situations? We blame the individuals. We blame them all for their failures that occur. But realistically, it's our own fault. It's like we give a raccoon a calculator and we expect them to do our taxes. Who thinks that's a great idea? The truth is, the problem isn't the person. The problem is the system. We have checkboxes for everything these days. Even when we're looking for new employees, we checkbox it and we put it into a system. And then it spits back these magical 10 employees that are going to magically fit into our corporation. Well, let me tell you something. We're missing a huge puzzle piece. Alignment. Alignment is so important. Alignment between a person's strengths and their role. Alignment between what actually energizes them and what the job demands. An alignment between their personality and how they contribute to them. But when we shift our focus and we start understanding who our people are and what their strengths are, it is sheer magic. You see, we have been thinking about leadership all wrong. We look at resumes, we look at skill sets, we look at degrees and all those letters behind everybody's name. We think, oh my God, they are going to excel. But you know what? Just because you have a great education or all A, B, C, D, E, F, J, L, K, M, J, all those great letters behind you, doesn't mean that you're going to be successful in that position. Remember my chaos story and my dishwasher who was standing in the middle of the line? This is her. She's 4'9". One night at the restaurant, one of our line cooks called out. And in the restaurant industry, the show must go on even if you don't have enough employees. So she walked up to me, all 4'9" of her, and she said, "Chef, I've got you." To which my face probably said, "Oh no," because she didn't check all those boxes. But man, she stepped on that line. She multitasked. She handled the pressure. She stayed calm. Man, she was incredible. And you know what? That 4'9" dishwasher taught me such a lesson in business. Potential doesn't always show up where you expect it to. You know, it's funny because a lot of times we put people in roles and we think, they're going to knock it out of the park. And they fail because they're not aligned. You know, when we changed some of our alignments in our restaurant, our profits started to soar. Our employees loved where they were working. We were the place to work. They were actually recruiting for us to the point where we actually had an excess. And that never happens in the restaurant industry. And let me tell you something, even the guests felt it. But let's take a step back for a moment. Why do we so often miss the mark on alignment? There's two reasons. We're conditioned to. Remember I talked about those resumes and skill sets, and we're taught, they have all this experience. They should knock it out of the park. But they aren't aligned with maybe another employee that they're working with. They may not be aligned with exactly where your business is going. And the second reason, we're busy. We step into our businesses and we get going and we don't think about all the things that we really should. We're busy, so we want to make sure we check that box to make sure we get those right employees, to make sure that we're finishing our tasks on time, that we're meeting our deadlines, and we're missing the mark. When we do that and we don't think about it and we just check those boxes, we have a major fatal flaw. When we send those check boxes to those resume sites and they send us back employees and they give us 5 and they kick another 10 out, there's no human review. You may be missing out on somebody that potentially would fit exactly where you need them to. So think about it this way. Aligning the right people isn't an investment in them. It's actually an investment in your team, in your organization, and your results, and ultimately, your bottom line. If we think about Michael Jordan in 1993, at the height of his NBA a career. He retired to pursue baseball. He was picked up by the Chicago White Sox. And yes, Michael was great at baseball, but he wasn't excelling like he was in basketball. Things just weren't gelling. He wasn't aligned all the way. He had the work ethic, he put in the time, and he was okay. But man, in 1995, he announced his comeback. And with the second he stepped back on that court, everything changed. The alignment was right. He was back where he belonged with the Chicago Bulls. And he took them for 3 more national championships, making sure that he was cemented as the GOAT in basketball. Now listen, guys, going from good to great, capable to unstoppable isn't something just for elite athletes. It's for all of us, everyone in this room. You can go from good to great if you align yourself. Alignment changes everything. It transforms lives. Look at Michael when he stepped back on that court, how it transformed everything around him. And I think about Google. They allow their employees to work 20% of their time on passion projects. Had they not done that, we would not have Gmail or Google Maps. And I'm sure by raise of hands in here, every single one of you at some point has used Google Maps. So they were sure to make sure their alignment was in line with their employees to follow their passion. Imagine if every team did this. Imagine the innovation, the collaboration, the great achievements we could have. Listen, guys, we don't need massive things to happen to have change. Small shifts, little conversations, single realignments. That creates massive ripples. And ultimately, you have to stop hiring for resumes, guys. Start hiring for personalities. Start hiring to put the person in the right role for the right position so we all can have successful jobs. You know, finding the right people and putting them in the right place is so key. You wouldn't take a goldfish and expect them to climb up a tree, right? But if you put them in a pond, you're going to see them dominate. Guys, skills can be taught, but personality, that is innate. So be sure that you understand that the secret sauce to building successful teams is alignment. And let's go out there and make sure that we take that mentality into each and every moment within your house and your business.